Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name's Dean and let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is November 28th, 2025, and here's why I'm expecting altcoins to pump into the weekend. Yes, I believe that is a very likely possibility. I'm going to tell you why that is. Also, we're going to look at Bitcoin, what it's doing. We're going to have a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart to underscore our pump into the weekend thesis, if you will. So if all that sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's start with Bitcoin as per usual, 4-hourly time frame, and we're pretty much at our target. If you recall, I said that Bitcoin was likely targeting this area of around $94,000, and that would conclude our initial break of structure, our A wave. Because remember, we're dealing with a 24-day wave 2 or 24-day corrective pattern that gives you 3 different waves, and the A wave is just the first. After the A wave gets to its top, you should expect a hovering. You should expect the price to hang out at that level. And I remember saying in yesterday's video that don't be surprised if, while Bitcoin is consolidating at the highs of this move, you get an altcoin move up. So a lot of people don't know this because this is something that's unique to alt season, and here's what it is. In alt season, well, let me start with Bitcoin season because this is what most people know. This is what's been happening for the past few years. In Bitcoin season, Bitcoin goes up, altcoins may follow, but typically they don't, and they kind of stay put, or if they do follow, they go up a little bit, or at most just as much as Bitcoin does. That's Bitcoin season. In Bitcoin season, as Bitcoin's kind of consolidating, hanging out, going sideways, altcoins are also consolidating, going sideways. If anything, maybe they're even dumping. Okay, that's Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance, as a result, is always going up in Bitcoin season. Now, alt season is completely different. Altcoin season is like diametrically opposed to Bitcoin season. So, altcoin season, when Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go up just the same, okay, if not more. Altcoin season, when Bitcoin goes sideways, this is when altcoins play. That is something that's rare because it hasn't happened in so long, but it is a hallmark of altcoin season. Remember that point. Bitcoin season and altcoin season are very different, and the biggest gains that I've seen anecdotally happen when in altcoin season, Bitcoin is hovering after having reached a local market top. This is exactly the scenario that we're dealing with. Bitcoin matriculated to the first target, which is the top of the A wave, and it's going into a weekend. Remember, weekends typically are for sideways price action, right? You do not have the liquidity of the traditional financial markets, and so you're likely going to do something like this in Bitcoin for the rest of the weekend. Right now, at the time of recording, it's like 3:30 p.m. ish. And so, there's only an hour and a half at most left of the traditional markets trading. So I don't expect much more from Bitcoin, given that we're pretty much at the end of the trading day. But altcoins love to play when Bitcoin is away and the liquidity of the traditional financial markets are pretty much inactive. This is a very important point. Okay, that's my first point as to why it's likely that we may see a very strong move in altcoins. Also because once Bitcoin does this requisite sideways dance, then it eventually goes into its B wave, which is a retracement back down to the lows here. Okay, if altcoins do that, altcoins will essentially be following Bitcoin and make lower lows. They're not going to be breaking out from that. Unlikely, they're unlikely to break out from that. So they would be following Bitcoin in a corrective move. But my overall thesis has been not all altcoins, but many altcoins are in pure impulse, or at least going to pure impulse. So you should expect a divergence here. This is the bullish altcoins, or many altcoins do this, right? During the weekend, while Bitcoin does this and eventually does this, and those altcoins are going to separate because while Bitcoin does this, they're going to do that and then continue. Okay, so this is a very important move. If this happens this weekend, if this happens on Monday, if this happens in 5 minutes, it's an extremely important move. Everybody should be paying attention. So that's a Bitcoin analysis. Let's move to the altcoin analysis, which is the other reason why I think altcoins are really teasing a major move on the weekend. Okay, so on the other chart, we've talked about it. This is really what you should be looking at if you're trying to analyze altcoins at this point in time in the cryptocurrency cycle. For the past week, you've been up and to the right. Okay, that's not pure impulsive price action, but it's extremely promising for continued upside. This right here is an up and to the right move that tells you that there is strong buying pressure. Okay, compare this right here to what you saw in Bitcoin. Look at them. They're similar. They may, to the untrained eye, be almost exactly the same. But if you look carefully, there's a big difference between what Bitcoin did for the past 7 days and what altcoins have done collectively. This right here is a bona fide preamble to a vertical breakout. Okay, and the difference to the untrained eye is the following. You can see the channel here is filled out, i.e. the tops and the bottoms are tested over and over and over again. And once you get to this point where you're likely going to move up and out, you're double bottoming at the support line. Okay, again, the Bitcoin move for the past 7 days differs insofar as you do not have well-defined support and resistance of this channel. Okay, it doesn't matter how you draw it. I know some of you are saying, "Oh, you're just making the line a little more wide." No, I can go as skinny as possible. You do not have well-defined tops and bottoms here. Okay, it is a move that screams, I need to retest. And I said that in a previous episode, especially because of this base right here, this big wick right here. It tells you that this bottom is not a solid bottom. It's likely a bottom that needs revisiting because it creates a chart imbalance. Okay, these are advanced concepts, but if you look at these charts long enough, like I know some of you do, like myself, you can tell a big difference between what Bitcoin has done in the past 7 days and what altcoins have done in the past 7 days. And what altcoins have done is what you typically see before a massive vertical breakout. Okay, so that's reason number 2. So we have Bitcoin's analysis, but then you look at the altcoins directly, and they give you a very strong case for why the next move, which is imminent, is a vertical move up and out. And I can even tell you, I can get more specific. I can tell you what that move is going to look like. Very simply, by going on the higher time frame, I take into context my 40-day falling wedge, okay? And basically, this 7-day move has matriculated up and through the entirety of my 40-day wedge. That is extremely bullish. Understand, in 7 days, you fought through 40 days worth of buyers and sellers, 40 days worth of orders that you have to fight through. There's a reason that these past 7 days in altcoins have been choppy. It's because you're fighting through so many orders. The order book is thick. But guess where it thins out? Once you break up and out of here, the orders thin out. And the move is quite straightforward to me, insofar as the breakout must retest the top of the 40-day channel as support, because this has been resistance for 40 days. So that has to be your first move. So the first collective move that I'm calling for in altcoins over this weekend, it's not going to be the last, but the first, is going to travel an average of about 17% to the upside. And then probably, which is, likely, you're going to see a retracement either Saturday afternoon or Sunday evening into pre-market open for the traditional markets of about 10%, retesting this 40-day channel top resistance as support. That's what I'm seeing in altcoins. This is the really strong case for a massive, relatively massive move in altcoins in the immediate short term. Remember, this others chart is an aggregate chart, normalized, gives you all the altcoins minus the top 10 in market cap, and it tells you that your first move is going to be 17% up. That means your favorite altcoin is likely going to outperform it. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to, because a lot of altcoins are probably going to do 15%. Some of the non-bullish altcoins are probably going to do 10% or less. But the bullish altcoins, they're probably going, 20, 40%, something like that. Okay, some even more. That is very likely. Last but not least, the final reason I feel like this move is imminent is what I'm seeing on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Remember what Bitcoin dominance has been doing. It's been at resistance for the past for the past 7 days. Let's compare apples to apples. We've been looking at a 7-day range in Bitcoin, 7-day range in altcoins. Now let's look at the past 7 days in Bitcoin dominance. Past 7 days starting from here. This is the first top, this is the second top, this is the third top. You're hitting resistance, and 3 times is a charm. And what you should really notice is this third time right here, you're putting in a rounded top. Remember, rounded features typically denote extremities. Also, for my Elliott wave corrective AB basing fans, you can count 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs of AB basing. For my Wyckoff people, for my people who look at ranges, you can see there's a range that's being formed at the top. And what is this? This is likely a distribution range. Remember, anytime you switch directions from up or down and down to up, you're putting in a consolidation. According to Wyckoff, that consolidation from down to up is called an accumulation. From up to down, it's called a distribution. This is very likely a distribution. You have the top resistance, a bottom support, a midline. That's resistance when you're below it, support when you're above it. Right now, we went all the way from the top and retested the midline as a resistance. Guess what? That means that the next likely move is down. Bitcoin dominance going down is what you see in alt season. So if Bitcoin dominance on the small time frame is showing us the past 7 days is likely putting in a test of resistance and a failure at resistance, and on the smaller time frame, on the hourly time frame, the past couple days, we've been putting in a reversal, a distribution, consolidation at a high. So a reversal pattern at the high, we're likely going to get a dump in Bitcoin dominance, and that is imminent. If that's going to be imminent, given that we're at the neckline already, you should see Bitcoin dominance start to fly down in the coming hours, which coincides with my call for a very green altcoin weekend. Guys, that's my analysis. Hope this was helpful, useful. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider joining my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service if you've been thinking about it. Right now is a great as time as any. Actually, it's a best time to join only because I'm running a Black Friday deal that lasts only a few more hours. At the end of today, that deal is no longer valid. This is going to be the last time I give it, probably for the year. And the deal is, instead of paying $250 per month, you get 6 months for $997. Okay? So that deal is going on right now, and it's only active for a few more hours. All right? Instructions on how to sign up for that in the pinned comment below. If you want to work with me, if you want to figure out which altcoins are bullish, where to buy and where to sell, all that stuff. That's crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. It's very comprehensive, a lot of risk management, a lot of portfolio structuring, and just how not to mess it up. Because honestly, in a bull market, the market's doing all the work. You just have to figure out how not to mess it up and how to take advantage of the moves that the market's giving. That's my thesis. I'm not big brain IQ guy, gonna outsmart everything. No. It's just the bull market is the bull market. It's the only reason actually I'm doing crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation is because I saw a bull market coming. And this only works in a bull market. And you can print in a bull market, and the bull market does the work. But as a market participant, if you're savvy, you take advantage of it. And if you know how to take advantage of it, you can do so quite lucratively. So that's crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation. If it's too much of an investment for you and you just want my thoughts on whether this particular altcoin is bullish or not, whether this particular altcoin is going to be amongst the ones that gives you 20 to 40% this weekend, whether this particular altcoin is going to be among the ones that gives you a 4x in the next 2 weeks, because remember, we are still on the clock, and Bitcoin is likely to top around December 15th, which is in around 17 days. So you want to position yourself in the right assets to make that 4 or 10x. Then you want that single asset analysis service. It's $165. Make the payment, email me, and then within 24 hours, you should have your pre-recorded analysis, and you can always follow up after I send you the email with the analysis. You can follow up with some questions. I don't mind. So that's single asset analysis service. All the instructions for how to go about signing up for all of these things and taking advantage of all of these services is in the description below, guys. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.
My prevalent time slot, I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I grin?